Perhaps meeting Meghan was one of the biggest mistakes in Prince Harry's life. Let's see why so many people make this claim, and welcome back to my channel. Meeting Harry and marrying into the royal family may have been Meghan's life-changing ticket. She took full advantage of it, wearing down and controlling Harry significantly. Harry has probably wished for a family of his own for a long time. He played around all his youth and met Meghan when he was in his 30s. Perhaps when he was old enough to get married, he also wanted to have a warm and cozy home. But unfortunately for Harry, he met a narcissistic person like Meghan. In my opinion, Meghan was clever at catching Harry. I don't deny that, although it was well known that Harry practically proposed marriage to every woman he came across. But Meghan believed that the British royal family would dance to whatever tunes he wanted. She believed that she would do. And that's where the cunning came in. Philip did not allow himself to be manipulated. William did not allow himself to be manipulated, and neither did Catherine. Anne didn't even acknowledge Meghan's existence. Andrew didn't give him an ounce of support. Sophie extended her hand to her, she rejected it, and it was one of her worst mistakes. The other big mistake was rejecting and confronting Camilla. Meghan was indeed given things. That's a fact. But Meghan was not allowed into their private lives. Meghan doesn't know anything about Anne or Zara. She doesn't know anything about Kate or Edward. She has no idea of any big secrets she can use against the British royal family. They didn't tell Harry anything because if Harry had known anything, Meghan would have used it. But the British royal family was already very careful with Harry. Meghan was clever at managing to manipulate to certain degrees, but she has never been able to retain what she has earned. Neither the affection of the people nor the courtesy of the British royal family, nor the adulation of the press. She is a very stupid woman. At first, Meghan would have shown them her good side and been charming. Then there would have been some talk about how mean the new Duchess was. But she would never show this to the actual family, only to the staff. And then it would escalate until the staff were, as Harry writes in Spare, sobbing at their desks. And suddenly the palace had a problem. But it was an internal problem, so it would make sense to solve it internally. First, by trying to talk to Harry about his wife, trying to talk to Meghan directly, trying to invoke the help of the more senior royals like William or Charles. Except, nothing about Meghan is solvable, so the problem only escalated until it reached the ears of the press. And that's probably how a lot of their problems with Harry and Meghan evolved. First, some small niggling things, then growing bigger, with the palace trying to solve issues quietly until they went out of control. I don't think we can blame them exactly for not knowing they were dealing with a malevolent narc. They were probably blindsided, even shocked and unbelieving. They know what they're dealing with now, and the royal grey-rocking is a masterclass in itself. Maybe the royal family told him to grow up and find someone worthy. It's not their responsibility to find him a wife and control his life. The family was not responsible for his happiness, and also, with addicts, if they don't want help or treatment, they can't be helped. They have to want it first, and honestly, other than public engagements, I don't think Harry was around them that much. As for Meghan, I bet she targeted him. Narcissist Meghan has an almost supernatural talent for being able to find vulnerable people to exploit. Harry was damaged, rich, desperate, and stupid. The perfect mark for someone like Meghan. I think they did see her coming and did everything they could to mitigate the damage. But Harry was too blind to see what was literally in front of his face, and apparently Meghan pulled the Megnancy card, which is why everything happened at what seemed like lightning speed. She had done it before, and each conquest was a stepping stone to catching the big fish. He was ensnared without a whimper by the "she lets me do anything" trap. I still can't believe he was in such an enraptured, lust-filled teenage brain fog that he announced this to the world. I hope he has at least a tad of hindsight and regret. Awareness of stupidity, naivety, mistakes, or whatever you wish to call it, is the first step to healing and changing. Now they are entangled in a reprehensible net of their own making. The wall of Harry's pride is so thick and high that it would take a dynamite to dismantle it. I suspect that the royal family at that time did not know what to do to help Harry find a life partner. Harry had burnt his bridges with the women of the aristocratic, wealthy, social climbing wealthy set. The women of that world had Harry's number and none of them wanted him. Slowly, that filtered outside of the British set and landed in Marcus Anderson's ear, who was dubbed Meghan's second most important man. From there, Anderson and Meghan worked to get her into Harry's bed. Meghan wanted to use him to revitalize her career, and Marcus wanted the blackmail. Then Meghan realized she had what she thought was a rich sucker she could lead around by his nose and married him. The royals slightly underestimated Meghan, and she got her hooks buried into him before they realized, not that I'm sure they could have stopped her. Harry wanted to marry her and was going to throw a fit if they didn't allow it and claim racism. So the royals allowed it and tried to keep Meghan working, not that it was an option given her abilities. But I will say that a decent woman can stop feeding the paranoia and adding fuel to the fire. Just no decent woman wants self-immolation like that. As for Harry, he isn't a mentally developed adult. His previous good image has been carefully curated and cloaked by a thin veil by his previous staffers and the whole palace. This has hidden a person who has arrested development both emotionally, as evidenced in his memoir and interviews. How out of touch with reality do you need to be at late 30s, believing his father is supposed to pay him for his lifestyle and announce it on Oprah to hundreds of millions? His behavior since leaving the fold has said more about his character than any My Truth fictional book and undone decades of hard works by others. I believe Harry has always had resentment towards everyone else, their successes, titles, and having what he can't have. He doesn't have the mental wherewithal to achieve or even dream up a path to success. He has been given everything on a silver platter and piggybacked his brother and sister-in-law's good standing. They've all bent over backward to appease his petulant, bad-tempered, resentful, and destructive behavior. This is why his previous relationships have ended without marriage. They could see the writing on the wall. Harry would have blamed everyone and everything but himself. Seeding more resentment, the guy must be intolerable, and a lot of women would have been falling over themselves for such a title. Harry was a plague of hate and bile under that veil of cheeky, chappy, laddish, carey, funny chap, a curated and false persona. Enter the Soho House back door Meghan Markle, someone who is manipulative, knows how to act and sow seeds of love, pull the right strings and play Harry like the broken, hateful fiddle he is. Markle was able to brainwash Harry into believing his false curated hype. Like joining a bad religion, Harry has gone on to burn every bridge, and the house down and betray his family, while still somehow believing he is right and so important he deserves taxpayer-paid for security. Either he's stupider than he looks or he's 100% hooked and isolated by his mentor, mommy, wife, and controller, his wife. Maybe the drugs and alcohol get him through, or maybe Harry lives in perpetual denial of his failings and can only cling to his perceived importance, a grand delusion of grandeur. His conscience seems to be sorely missing an ounce of regret. Harry has his foot on the floor, the pedal to the metal, and he doesn't know how to stop until it crashes. Probably rehab and divorce, obviously with Markle pushing him to the inevitable total failure. Like a parasitic worm, feeding until there is no more fodder to take. And finally, as they say, hindsight vision is 20/20. The royal family can't be blamed for not being able to predict or even completely understand what Harry needed in his life at the time. Just ask all the parents here who are worried about their grown-up children who aren't making good life decisions. Have you had any success trying to take control of their lives or choosing life partners for them? Talk is cheap, and this kind of criticism of the royal family is hardly fair. Yes, Harry was lonely, but that doesn't mean it was his family's responsibility to fulfill his life. That's for him to do for himself. They could support and advise, and that's what we've seen them try to do. Invictus was one of the ways they tried to help him, and for a while he appeared to be adjusting well. When Meghan came on the scene, didn't William try to advise Harry? Take your time, get to know her, he said. And when Harry wouldn't take advice, didn't the royal family try to support him anyway? Nobody knew at that time what a narc and psychopath Meghan was. I'm very certain she showed them the most charming side of her personality. I wouldn't advise taking away from Harry's agency by blaming his family for his own life decisions. We've all had to deal with bad cards in life. He isn't particularly special in having had to undergo sorrow, disappointment, loneliness, etc. What he's done with himself is all entirely on him. Reflecting on the issues we have just discussed, I believe it opens up many fascinating perspectives and deepens our understanding. Your opinions are extremely valuable as they enrich our discussions and help us approach topics from many different angles. So, do you like the topic I brought you today? If so, type OK. And if you don't like it, that's okay. But please leave me a comment in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and share this video. Your support is a strong motivation for us to continue to improve and provide deeper content. Thank you, and I look forward to our next meeting. Take care.